This conference will now be recorded.
Call the BPAC meeting to order. We're a little past 6. First item is roll call. Ms. Barber?
Certainly. Craig Pennington,
I'm here.
Brian Gooch,
Here.
Chris Clark, Jamie Jackson, Jacob Pascowick,
Here.
Heather LaBelle, Kristen Harding, Stephen Littlewood,
Here.
Yamina Jordan, Aaron Frank,
Here.
John Leisure, Linda Lisset, Joy Himes, Ben Matters, Kristen Talton-Spalding, Leah Anderson, Adam Lynch is getting married, so he's not here. Debbie Fultz, Debbie Lately, Rob Maple,
Brother.
Jim Lynch,
Here.
John Summer,
Here.
Stan Huey, Brantley Tyndall. And that's it. Proceed.
All right, thank you. First item of business is approval of the October 2nd, 7th, 2021 BPAC meeting agenda. Any additions, deletions, anything?
I had, Mr. Chairman, I had a couple items. On page, I think it's page 3, but the page number here going down to 1, 2, 3.
You talking about the minutes?
Oh, yes, is that what we're talking about?
We gotta approve the agenda first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Excuse
No
me, I
problem.
left
No
it
problem.
here. So,
So any additions, deletions, or changing of the agenda? Can I get a motion?
Mr. Jacob, I'll move to approve. I'll second.
All those in favor?
uh,
Any opposed? All right, agenda is approved. Next item of business, approval of the August 26, 2021 BPAC meeting minutes. Any changes to the minutes, Mr. Lynch?
Mr. Lynch, yes, okay. On page 3 with the number down at the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs down, line 3, I think listened in the plan was probably listed. Are we getting that?
All right, make a note of that one.
Okay. And then down item B, paragraph 3, where it says, she provided an overview in keeping with the way everything else is structured. Should we say Ms. Barber provided? I mean, we know who that is, but I think that would keep with the structure of the
Note
minutes.
that to be corrected.
And let's see, on page 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the paragraph that starts with Hector, again, in keeping with the structure, should we say Mr. Campos?
We can get that corrected.
And down at the bottom of page 5, where I made the comment, I believe what I was trying to say was there was a recently appointed, not a recently hired, and the question mark needs to be taken out. It was the National Park Service acting superintendent of the Potomac Heritage National Scenic Trail. And then on the last page, item 11, just questioning item 11 where it says next meeting TBD September. I believe that's October. Is that what we were?
That's true. They had us keep it that way because they didn't want to change the item.
Okay.
And then at the bottom, next meeting will be held.
It does. Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
All right, any other comments on the minutes? All right, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Chairman, this is Brian. I move that we accept the minutes as amended.
And I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved as amended. Now for public comment. Ms. Barber, do we have any public comments?
We do not.
All right, anyone from the public like to comment? All right, with that, I'll close public comment. And on to item 6, discussion action items, approving chapters 1 and 2 of the BAMPO 2050 Active Transportation Plan. Ms. Barber.
So this is the primary work that we're here for this evening. You will have gotten chapters 1 and 2 to go over before this. So first we'll just go through these slides. Get you started. So chapter 1 was the introduction, background, population, and projected growth of the area, and our vision statement. We primarily went over the vision statement, the goals and objectives last time we got back together. If there was anything in there that still needed to be corrected, you let me know. Next slide. This is the vision statement we came up with. Was there anything further we needed to change on that? No? All right, great. Next slide. These are the goals we all came up with together. If you had a chance to go over those, let me know if there was anything else we needed to change. I did get a couple of comments from Brandon Brown, and I will incorporate those. A little corrections for wording, but nothing substantial. So I did think of something here. We talked a little bit about resiliency last time we were here. Since we don't build facilities here, we don't do the design engineering building part of things, I thought maybe we could do this, encourage localities to design facilities for consideration for storm resiliency. If any of you, like me, went to the last East Coast Greenway meeting, they talked about a lot of storm damage that happened up north with some of the East Coast Greenway sections. So that might be something that we wanted to add. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's excellent, and obviously the weather is getting harsher these days, so it's probably very good to have that in our list of goals, I would say. So, yes.
And it's in keeping with the other way that we phrase it, saying we encourage. So, yeah.
Okay, so if everybody agrees, we will add that. Are there any other comments on those goals?
Carrie, just if you would, I actually do have some comments. Fortunately, I don't have them with me at the moment. Can
That's
I
okay.
forward them to you?
Sure can.
Post-meeting?
Yep.
What is your due date?
Well, you can get them to me in the next week or so.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
One of those rushing out the door, weren't you?
I rushed out the door, left everything that I wrote for this meeting. I don't have.
This whole thing is due November 19th.
Okay.
That's my life process.
You'll have it.
Please. So going on from here, chapter 2, existing conditions. So this is just a summary of the major trails in the region. This carries on from the 2045, and I noticed they didn't put in the Rappahannock River Heritage Trail, so I will be adding that. Are there other major trails?
Yeah, Carrie, I was just noticing that there's a few shared use paths in Stafford that aren't shown here. Are you just focusing on the major trails that are listed and not necessarily every shared use path in the locality?
So that map is missing all of Stafford's trails.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the map.
Well, I
I
think
did-
Belmont's very far on there, but.
Yeah, it is. The map for this PowerPoint that was put together very quickly for this meeting is an incorrect map. But the map for the actual active transportation plan should have all of Stafford's. So I will run that by you, we'll check and make sure that it's
Okay.
correct.
Just for a point of clarity though, on the major trails in the region, would that be focused basically on what the greenway prioritization was for the region as well? Would those be it? Or are we thinking that they're above and beyond that? So I thought those were kind of focal.
Those are a focal point, but it could be above and beyond that. I would say anything that this group thinks is a major trail
And those are existing or planned?
existing. This is
Okay.
existing condition.
I think you reflected.
Yes.
This obviously is a minor item. Where you say, Potomac Heritage Trail, I assume that's the Potomac Heritage National Scenic Trail. Not sure how important it is to get its whole correct name on there.
Okay, I will do that.
Yeah, but there are actually other trails that are known as the Potomac Heritage Trail.
National Scenic Trail
Yeah.
in our region. Now, the region covered by this document is just the Fanfield region.
That's right, that's right.
It's all on
goes-
road in this region. Is that not correct?
No, that is not correct.
Okay,
No, the Belmont Ferry Farm is part of it, but that's identified in the write-up.
Governor's Island, and as is the East Coast Greenway is on one road.
actually, we
US
have one
bicycle
little
route.
tiny part now with the Chatham Bridge.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I'll say my trail, which the Potomac Heritage Trail also crosses.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah.
I'll make sure to get the full name on there.
Okay, thank you.
Aside from fixing that map, which is correct in the document, but not on this PowerPoint.
Hey, Kerry, while we're on this topic, if I could just sort of parallel this a little bit. A lot of the maps that we're trying to use to describe various trails and sidewalks and so forth and so on, I'm sure this isn't a surprise to you, are kind of hard to read. Don't know what we're going to do about that, can do about that.
When you say they're hard to read,
Lines are real small, colors are not always distinct, one color from the other color. That's,
okay.
and that's really more of a general comment on a lot of the things.
Well, then
that we
that's
do.
something we should do at the next meeting. Perhaps we should have some paper maps on the table with different colors, and then you guys should vote on which ones reads.
Well, right, that would help, but I'm also here thinking about how we're presenting things to the general public.
Mhm.
You know,
Right,
what can we do to help them read things, the little lines, one color looks an awful lot like the other color. And
right. I'm saying you'll have to.
I don't have a smart answer, I just,
You don't have to what?
I I don't have an intelligent answer for that.
But if you can take a look at something and tell me which one you think is the easiest to distinguish, you can be my stand-in for the general public.
There are 501(c) standards for accessibility
Okay.
and, yeah,
Okay.
for publications. I know that if you're using like Adobe, you can even just like press a little button and it'll do a scan of the document for you to say whether you've got some issues that might be compliance issues. But there's standards for accessibility for site.
Okay.
That addresses exactly that issue of color difference.
Okay.
I don't know that anybody's using these maps to go out onto a trail though. So I wonder the level of specificity that we necessarily need in this to allow someone to read this in the intention that we have with it in this document. And so I think if our goal is to help folks understand where there are trails in existence and where there are maybe some desert areas that we could do better with our trails, then I think what we want to do is use a map that's going to help us tell that story. And maybe not necessarily something that someone is going to print out and try and go out onto a trail with.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is we have to show the entire region,
Yeah, which is,
and so it's going to be small.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you.
Okay.
Terry, if I may, I'm noticing that, like along Lee Drive, the Park Service trails are not on there, and I'm wondering whether that is something we want to, we've got it in the narrative right now. But whether or not we want to show that right after Mr. Lynch, I note that we already have sort of a cluster look to our map, whether or not we want to put that on there.
Right. So they do exist in some other places in the document, and this one here, I've only got paved trails. That's part of it. What we consider bicycle infrastructure, bicycle pedestrian infrastructure is only paved trails. Those are more nature trails.
Correct, exactly, and you've got that listed as
They're
Park
not
Service
ADA
maintained.
compliant, that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why they're not listed.
Okay.
I
I don't have a problem with that at all. There's not an issue at all. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't, I hadn't failed to provide something.
Right, no, I have them all.
All
I have
the
a
GIS
file
layer and
of all of them. So next slide. So the next section is safety. It's kind of a, is there anything important missing in this section that you guys can think of, or is it covered okay? All right, any comments or questions on this section?
What this is based on is accidents that have happened.
Accidents that have happened, as well as this new VDOT initiative called Pedestrian Safety Action Plan, which
Okay.
is not just where accidents have occurred, but also predicting where they may occur, and also demand for infrastructure based on a number of factors, like zero car households,
Yes.
proximity to a school, transit areas, things like that.
Okay. Well, very good. Yes. Wasn't aware of that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Jerry.
And that's basically our first two chapters.
What are this, I'm sorry, John from Fredericksburg Cycles, what are the colors on that map? Like the red, is that?
So red is the highest priority corridor,
That's what I thought.
and then blue is the second, and green is the third priority.
Thank you for doing that. I did have a question about that. So the highest priority corridor, is that suggested, it suggests in terms of safety wise? So that's levels in Salem Church Road. They have a sidewalk and a wide concrete, I would say, shared use path that run up the side of at least levels from Harrison down towards Courthouse in front of Loyola Park, in that area. So in terms of infrastructure, I would say the roadside infrastructure is there, at least the majority of it is. So my question is, if that's a tier one high priority, is that suggestive of there's lack of crosswalks there? Because otherwise, it's not like there's nothing there.
So there's supposed to be, tier one places are supposed to have what they call cut sheets, which are more detailed information from VDOT and strategies to make it safer.
Okay.
So that should be out there. I can maybe try and look that up for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And also it's based on, like from the last several years.
Yeah. So that one was one that kind of struck me, because, it's not like it's a road with nothing to
Right.
walk along. But
And
yet it's still like, it looks like it's the highest priority in the county.
But even if there are gaps,
Yeah,
that would do it.
there may, but there's not a lot, because that road was widened.
Does the sidewalk keep going past the shopping center on the right where 7-Eleven is? It stops and then you got a neighborhood and then it starts back to CVS.
Maybe it's on that one side, the sidewalk isn't complete, but the other side along L'Oreal is all in. Yeah, I would have to.
There is no sidewalk, well,
Stops at L'Oreal.
yeah,
Stops at L'Oreal.
yeah.
On the right.
I'm thinking of the Salem Church. Okay, Salem Church to L'Oreal. Okay,
Yeah, if there is a significant gap of any kind,
Okay.
or if there is a number of zero-car households, or like any number of factors.
I got you. All right.
But I can double check on that, see what I can find.
L'Oreal is a candidate.
So are we going to talk about the text?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you will have had the text, so if you have comments on it, then let me know, I guess, in an orderly fashion.
I had a general one, Carrie, and it's not really that big of a deal. And so it's more of a consistency thing than anything else. In the Belmont to Ferry Farm, and you talk about it passing through the park and that kind of stuff. The VCR trail does too. As does, of course, the Potomac Heritage Scenic Trail, which is a national park. And it's not identified as National Park Service, and it might be worthwhile saying that it's part of the national park system.
Okay, you're saying that while I mentioned that Belmont Ferry Farm passes through the Park Service land.
Right.
I know, right, okay.
Yeah, exactly. To be consistent, it would be the same thing on the VCR trail. And then my suggestion would just be to say that the Potomac Heritage Trail is administered by the National Park System or something like that. Because then it shows sort of that partnership with the municipalities that it goes through.
Yeah. Some of this language is recycled.
Yeah.
2045. And it probably should be overhauled. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Jim?
Okay, let's see, on page 9, where we have a couple of paragraphs about the PHNST. As we indicated earlier, where in paragraph 2, we talk about several of the pieces and parts of the PHNST in the region, but as we discussed earlier when we were looking at the map, we should talk about that the trail does pass through the whole region. Passes through Stafford County and Fredericksburg. It does not touch Spotsylvania County that I know of. Is that right, Kristen?
I don't have that off the top of my head. I'd have to look.
I'm pretty sure not. It goes into Fredericksburg, across the Chatham Bridge, loops around some of the George Washington related historic sites in town, and then goes out of the bridge there. So,
Okay.
and all of these routes are pretty clearly described on the MOU that all the jurisdictions approved and agreed to 3, 4, 5 years ago, which by the way, are probably up for renewal. They are up for
Renewal?
renewal. Yeah. And the only particular comment I had, Carrie, and I appreciate your patience here. Page 11, support infrastructure. In the top lines, we talk a lot of different kinds of facilities, trash cans and benches and all that. Somewhere in here, we should talk about how important it is for employers to support walking and biking to work, and whether that means bike racks or showers or what, but employer support means everything.
There's a fine line there about advocacy and description, so I have to be careful with that, but yes.
I'm sure you can word it
Again.
precisely. And that's all I had, Carrie. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Anyone else?
Carrie, I just want to follow up then. If we just looked at aerials here on levels, I'd still be interested on that tier 1 one.
Sure.
Because
It does have sidewalks on both sides, all the way down levels, both
I'll
sides.
look and see what,
Salem Church, not so much, but levels. Yes.
it might be Salem Church
Yeah.
that's doing it, but I will look and see if there's a cut sheet for it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Levels between 208 and South Main Parkway with more than walking pedestrian infrastructure.
That stretch I agree with, but that, interestingly enough, I don't think that stretch is in that tier 1.
I don't think it is
Yeah.
either. I was raising my hand earlier, but that's okay. Yeah, because it desperately needs it. It's, some lower income neighborhoods in there that there's no shoulder, there's not even there's just a cliff basically.
With the CLRP, we've identified that section of the road, try to do something with that. I know if we have some development at the corner there, there's our sheets, I think, at the corner of Spotsy Parkway and Levels, headed up towards 208. Across from Lee's Park, Estates at Lee's Park, there's a little area right there at the corner, and we're looking to start establishing that connectivity there, and we're looking at actually running a shared use path down to Patriot Park as well, down Smith Station, so.
Yeah.
But we're looking at it, it's on the radar.
Levels of houses are so close to.
That's the problem.
That-
And there's some topo there too.
Yeah, the houses are so close to the road on levels, getting right away and easement.
That's
I
the
mean,
tough part.
that path's gonna be 15 feet out somebody's front door.
Yes, that's the tough part.
So do we have other comments? No? All right. Well, I will take comments by email for the next couple weeks on this. If you have any. So thank you all for that. All right.
I just want to commend you and the whole team for that. That was a lot of work putting that together.
Thank
so,
you.
Yeah, really nicely done.
Big part of my job at this time of year.
Yeah. It is.
Carrie, it kind of begs the question. We've talked about chapters 1 and 2. I assume you need comments on all the rest of them.
Yeah, I have
By
to write
the
that
end
next. Give me a chance to write it.
Okay.
I have to write that part between now and the next meeting.
Okay,
And
but
that's
the complete product, all chapters, all everything is due when, for
uh,
when do you need to?
November 11th, November 19th. something
November
around there.
19th.
Yeah, November 19th, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna be a busy gal.
I am confused. Don't remind me.
Hey, for your East Coast Greenway Board, I did think there may be value in just teasing the fact that we may have to go back to the drawing board and try to revise our route again with Caroline.
May?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you listening to that? I
I'm
think,
just trying to leave it open, but
I think we should, yeah. I think
just
we should listen
teasing
to
that because, well, I have an update about our comp plan too, which was reflected in the minutes. We had to change the meeting date. But that doesn't need to be reflected in those minutes. I'll do it at my staff. But I think that's a valid thing to reference. We're gonna have to go back with the East Coast Greenway lines. But our comp plan is gonna proactively fix, like, make the connection and recommended street improvements. It's just the formal designation is gonna have to switch with the East Coast Greenway lines to do it. Get that route.
Yeah, we might have to City Hall again.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's just something that we gotta mull over.
We were having some meetings over that because a feasible route is better than.
Yeah.
no route.
Caroline's route's gonna move a lot. I'm gonna go cross 95 and route one twice each. That's a-
All right, well, if we're ready, we can go on to the next item, Mr. Chairman.
All right, part 6B, the Ladysmith Bike and Pedestrian Small Area Plan. First, Caroline would like to thank Ms. Barber and DWRC for working on this plan for us, and then I'll turn it over to Ms. Barber.
Thank you. So this is a project that I've been working on with Caroline Hockey. So Ladysmith is one of the fastest growing areas in Caroline. There's roughly 10,000 residents living in that area. And the residential and commercial areas are less than 2.5 miles apart for the most part, but they lack walking and biking infrastructure outside of their housing developments. So in 2008 and 2010, both their Caroline Comprehensive Plan and their Community Plan called for a village character, walkable area. But nothing has really been done in the time until now. Next plan, next slide. So the existing conditions, most of the people are generally concentrated in 2 areas around Lake Landor and Lake Caroline, and these newer developments, Founders Park and South River. These are mostly where people live. Most of the destinations are in this intersection here between Ladysmith Road and US Route 1. 95 here is where the exit is. Neither of these roads here have sidewalks, but desire lines are present all the way down here. Folks walk from the housing development here, there is trailer park here, and people can be seen walking south. When I was there, I saw 3 or 4 people walking along the road. Cars, trucks zoomed by, and they were walking right on that white line. Next slide. So to show what was possible, I divided Ladysmith into about 5 sub-areas, and I mapped the distances from residential developments to likely destinations along the roadways as if sidewalks and shared use paths existed. So for example, the people who live in Glen Meadows Trailer Park can get to the YMCA or the library by walking less than a mile, or to the school here by walking half a mile. Actually, half a mile is from Founders Park. From Glen Meadows, it's 1 mile, 1 1/4 mile, basically. They can get to this retail area by walking 3/4 of a mile. The green line is the Founders Park folks, so they can walk half a mile and get to the grocery store and several restaurants, if they could do so safely. Next slide.
We're gonna pause for a second. I think the meeting room is wrong. We got a comment that saying that they couldn't log in, so we're gonna pause and then switch the meeting room.
Okay.